He grew up hunting, and I grew up on a cattle farm, and I went the other way.
We get married, and it's like, you thought I was gonna stop hunting? And I thought she wasn't gonna care.
We just differ drastically.
But we have that one thing in our faith. That's the backbone in our marriage and the differences we have.
Honey, there's plenty I don't believe. Plenty of things that mean nothing to me. But if there's one thing I know to be, oh, I know what you mean to me. I know what you mean to me.
Well, you definitely learn a lot as a parent. 5 years into our marriage, we had Isaiah, and we had this awesome gift. Then we want him to have a little brother or sister, and you start planning, as we all do, in our mind.
I'm a planner.
Yeah.
I like to know what's happening all the time.
And we get pregnant again fairly easily, and months in, we lose the baby, and it's obviously a fear. And it was a fear for you.
It sounds wrong when you say it, but it's one of those bad things that happens to other people. You know what I mean? It's like so many things in the world. It's not something that you ever envision yourself having to deal with.
You know, it was time we try again, and we get pregnant right away again. And months into it, same thing. And you pray and you pray and you pray. And sometimes I think I'm guilty of expecting God to be a
Genie
in a bottle. And it's not that. And you're trying to, okay, why is this happening? And you don't know why. And sometimes you'll never figure out why.
Mike came to me one day and said, we're gonna have another baby, and it's gonna be a boy, and his name's gonna be Jacob. And I was like, okay. And you know this because...
I was frustrated. We'd had 2 miscarriages. What's the future look like? We don't know. Are we gonna adopt? Are we gonna going through things in your mind? And I was just kind of wrestling, and probably the most honest I'd been with God ever in my life. And I heard, not audibly, but I just sensed that God told me that we're gonna have a son. His name's Jacob. Not much longer, we were pregnant, and we lose another baby. And I remember you coming to me.
I was just like, where is he?
Oh, well, I guess.
Where is he?
Just, God didn't, was I hearing things right? So we get pregnant again, and I think it was a Friday night. She's like, I lost the baby. And I was like, there's no way. Again? I was like, well, you don't know. And you're like, yeah, I know. Called your doctor, and doctor was, yeah, it's not good.
He was gone the next day, and just kind of had enough. I just remember kind of just not wanting to be by myself. So I went up to Isaiah's room and crawled into bed with him, and I don't know how that kid didn't wake up because I was bawling. I feel like I've been a Christian my whole life. I always wanted to be a good daughter, and having a child, it's like even if you know what's wrong with your child, you want them to talk to you about it. You want to make that connection. And I just had an honest conversation with God. And I told him how I felt. I was hurt. I was a little angry. And of course, you feel guilty for being mad at your creator. And I told him I needed something. We needed to have a baby or not ever. Because I couldn't keep going down that road anymore. And Monday, text my doctor, can I just come in so we can just see? And I can close the door and move on. And a couple hours later, the nurse called me, and I felt like she was surprised. Like she wasn't even expecting to tell me what she was gonna tell me. And she told me my numbers, my levels were like not just where they were supposed to be, but like way past, through the roof, no doubt about it. All looks good. And we went in later on that day and had an ultrasound, and it's like, it's all okay, everything's okay. So we were like, Jacob, this is Jacob.
Yeah. For the longest time, I didn't really know why Jacob either.
It wasn't ever a name we talked about.
No, we'd never. And the story of Jacob, he wrestled with God through the night, and he wouldn't let him go until he got his blessing. And we weren't demanding that he give us his blessing. We were just being honest with him. Jeremiah 29:13 says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." It's so true. So many times you're on the mountaintops and things are great. And sometimes those are the hardest times because you don't feel like you need God. But then you go through the valleys and you actually really seek Him and His will, and that's when you learn and grow, and He changes you, it changes our marriage for the better. We were able to kind of work through our faith together like we'd never done before, for sure.
He just says things. Did you know? I have to love God even more than you, Mommy. I love God so much. I feel like things are just rattling around in there, and you're like, what do you sit around thinking about all day?